Welcome to our webinar on key nutrients when following a milk-free diet. My name is Alison and I'm a paediatric dietitian for Somerset NHS Foundation Trust.
My name is Lydia Collins-Hussey. I'm a freelance paediatric allergy dietitian, and I also sit on the British Dietetic Association Food Allergy Specialist Group, as well as working for Allergy UK as a clinical dietetic advisor. So what is in milk? I always refer to milk as a nutrient powerhouse. We often will think of calcium, which it certainly does contain a lot of calcium, but there are other vitamins and minerals to consider, such as protein, energy, so the calories in milk, vitamin B12, riboflavin, as well as iodine. So the key nutrients that we're going to focus on today are calcium, iodine, and other vitamins as mentioned, such as B12, as well as supplementation.
So looking at someone's calcium requirements, this has been taken from the British Dietetic Association calcium fact sheet, and you can see the various recommendations for calcium for various ages. It also includes those for children, adolescents, adults, and also for breastfeeding mothers. Looking at some examples of the calcium content of various breads. So while some breads don't have any calcium at all, many breads are actually manufactured using a calcium fortified flour. And these breads generally contain between 30 and 75 milligrams of calcium per slice. So the top three breads are examples of those products. The blue one there is from Aldi, so you don't necessarily have to buy branded product. Other breads are much more highly fortified, such as the Hovis Best of Both, Jackson's, and the Kingsmill 50/50. And you can see the figures below. They are much more highly fortified with calcium. So depending on what your child is eating and whether or not they're drinking milk substitutes or other products that contain calcium, you may want to choose something that's got a bit more calcium in it. Then looking at breakfast cereals. So you can see there are some premium products like Ready Brek or the Nestle Cheerios or Kellogg's multigrain shapes. So they all have added calcium, whereas the multigrain hoops from Sainsbury's, they don't have any calcium, although they do look quite similar to the Cheerios. So while some of these products look very similar, the nutritional content can be quite different. But you can also see that Asda Ready Oats do also contain calcium, so you don't necessarily always need to go for premium brands.
Moving on to milk substitutes, including milks and yogurts and cheese. These milk substitutes, they're based on oat, soya, pea, and coconut. So the first ones that you can see on the slide, Oatly, you can see that there is the original, which contains 120 milligrams per 100 ml, and this is pretty standard for most alternative milks. But you'll notice the one next to it is organic, and this does not contain any calcium or any other vitamins and minerals. So if it is organic product, it will not be fortified with vitamins and minerals. And this is the case here with soya as well. You can see that the regular Alpro soya has the standard 120 milligrams per 100 ml, whereas the organic version doesn't. And just to highlight that some alternative milks will also have higher than the 120 milligrams per 100 ml. As you can see here, both the coconut super and the pea milk are particularly high. Moving on to cheese, you can see there are many different versions out there. We've got cream cheese style, we've got grated or block slices. What you'll notice is that they are fortified, but they tend to be quite low in calcium compared to, for instance, the Babybel here that has 136 milligrams per Babybel, which is particularly high. But every little bit counts towards achieving those requirements, so they can still be really useful as part of your little one's diet. And here are some dairy-free yogurts. These are all actually coconut, but there are many different versions out there. We have ones that are based on tree nuts, such as almond. We also have oat-based ones, as well as soya. So you can see here in the middle, the two yogurts look very similar because they're from the same company, but one contains no calcium and the other has 60 milligrams. So this just to show that the yogurts tend to have around 60 to 80 milligrams per 50 gram portion, but always double check the labels to see if they are fortified. Yogurts in particular can be a really good one to get into your child's diet, whether you're offering it as yogurt or including it as a sauce or a dip.
You may recognise this slide if you've watched any of our other webinars. So these milk substitutes can be added to foods from 6 months of age or can be used as a main drink from 12 months. The preferred options, as we've said before, are soya and pea milks, as they tend to be higher in protein, but there are other alternatives that are based on oat or on coconut. The coconut milks do tend to, apart from the coconut super, do tend to be blended milks and also contain rice milk, which is something that we wouldn't necessarily recommend. Or you have something like the good hemp milk, which is an oat and a hemp milk mix. So the points to remember are to check the labels every time you buy, and also a reminder, as Lydia said, that organic products won't be fortified with vitamins and minerals because they're not allowed to do that by law. As I've mentioned, the nut milks are generally lower in energy and protein, so such as the almond and the hazelnut milks, and the rice milks aren't recommended as a main drink for children under 5 years of age due to the higher naturally occurring arsenic levels. Please also be aware that the blended milks, such as those with coconut and rice milk, may contain a significant amount of other allergens.
How much calcium does your child need? Well, a child of 12 months to 4 years needs roughly around 300 to 400 mils of a calcium fortified milk substitute a day. This equates to around 10 ounces or so. However, not all children will drink this. They can have it added to their cereal, or if they don't drink any of that milk, we can substitute elsewhere in the diet, as highlighted today, with calcium fortified bread, yogurt, cheese, or other calcium rich sources such as tin sardines, oranges, kale, tofu, and broccoli. Older children and adults aim for 3 to 4 portions of calcium-rich foods a day, such as in a cereal, a glass of milk, or in hot drinks, as well as the fortified breads and yogurts and cheeses and custards and alternative products. And in regards to dairy-free puddings and custards, these tend to be made up of soya, oat, almond, or coconut, and these can also be given from 6 months of age. And they really do help to aid in building on variety in your little one's diet.
Thanks, Lydia. So where might we be able to find some extra information on calcium?
Yes, so you'll see at the bottom of the slide, the British Dietetic Association, they have a calcium fact sheet, which the link is on our website, and that has a full range of foods that are high in calcium and lists it per milligram, as we've discussed with other foods today. And it also lists exactly what your child needs based on age as well. So it's got those requirements as we discussed at the beginning of the talk.
So looking at iodine, why is it important? Well, iodine is important for brain development in children, and non-dairy sources of iodine are found in foods such as white fish, especially haddock, also cod, eggs, meat, and seaweed. And we would suggest that you offer dairy-free sources of iodine regularly. So looking at iodine, all of these milk alternatives are fortified with iodine and are going to be good choices for you and your child. Similarly, the yogurt, cheese, and cream alternatives, they're not massively fortified with iodine, but as they say, every little does make a difference when you're adding it all up at the end of the day or at the end of the week.
So what about other nutrients? We touched on this at the beginning of the talk. So protein, we can get other good sources from meat, chicken, fish, peas, beans, and lentils, but also some of those alternative milks. So as we've already referred to, soya and pea milk are particularly high in protein or higher in protein, as well as soya and pea products as well. We also need to be aware around energy. Little ones need a high energy, so a lot of calories in their diet at this age. So it's important to choose those that are higher in energy calories compared to kind of low fat options. And then there's vitamin B12. Many of the milk substitutes will be fortified. This also includes the yogurts and cheeses, but most of the milks will be. And if you are following a plant-based or vegan diet, a B12 vitamin supplement will usually be required.
Looking at other vitamins, so government recommendations are that breastfed babies require vitamin D drops from birth, and vitamins A, C, and D for breastfed infants from 6 months to 5 years of age, or for those who are having less than 500 mils or 17 ounces of formula a day. There are lots of different varieties and brands. I've just listed a few of them, but it is worth discussing these with your pharmacist. Breastfeeding mums also require 1,250 milligrams of calcium per day and 10 micrograms of vitamin D, and generally require a supplement because it's really difficult for breastfeeding mums to get their calcium requirements in if they're following a milk-free diet. And don't forget our other webinars on following a milk-free diet, performing a milk challenge, and also introducing other allergens.
For further information and handouts, please look at the links below this webinar, as well as accessing Allergy UK Cow's Milk Free Diet and also the Weaning Support Pack. Thank you very much for listening.